It's American Werewolf in London movie chat tonight. Woohoo! And I'm just going to add people in. Bear with me a sec. Hi, Dustin. I just add you in. Okay, you should all be getting an invite to join in, hopefully, if I've done it right. Otherwise, I'm talking to
Hello.
myself. Hello!
Hello. Hello.
Yay!
Whoa, hello.
Ooh, it's a werewolf.
Yeah, I disrupted my dog. Sorry. They woke her up.
Oh, how are you guys? You all right?
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah?
hairy.
Doing great.
Feeling hairy. I had a shave, especially
Yeah.
for tonight.
I literally shaved 5 minutes ago.
Oh dear. So beware the moon, guys. We're going to be chatting American Werewolf in London. What did you guys make me watch? That's all I'm going to ask.
So sorry.
Oh, you have never seen it before?
No, I've never seen it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while for me, though. So.
So we've got Josh this evening. So I practiced this all day, Josh. So it's Joshua Winu. Didn't quite work, but I tried.
Brilliant.
And
That's
then
great.
and then we've got Emma Pulla with us this evening.
Great.
This is all I could come up with. Yeah, I need to try again. And then as the only American with us, we know who's going to be the werewolf. It's Dustin from Rewatch Recap. That always is a tongue twister to me. So yeah, so we need to watch out for Dustin throughout the chat. There's a full moon out there tonight. So yes, and I'm Shelley, and I've never seen this film before, and I think I might be traumatised for life from this film. So yes, interesting. So we're going to be chatting American Werewolf in London, which is essentially about two American college students on a walking tour of Britain that are attacked by a werewolf that none of the locals will admit exists. So interesting. And it was written and directed by John Landis, who apparently had the idea whilst he was a gopher on another film for, I think, Kelly's Heroes. And he was driving along a country road with a colleague, and Landis kind of encountered this gypsy funeral, and the body was being buried in a massively deep grave, feet first, while wrapped in garlic, so he would not rise from the dead. So yeah, so apparently had the idea then. So it was filmed over 4 weeks, from the 2nd of February 1981 till the 3rd of March 81, and I think it was 29 days of filming, and it was released in the 21st of August on the same year. That's kind of impressive, actually.
Yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah,
especially back then.
Yeah,
Super
definitely.
quick.
Yeah, and obviously it
So it was
stars
filming
David
at this
Norton.
exact time of year.
Oh yes, I never clocked that.
Yeah.
Josh,
I
see,
kept
we know who
thinking
the
that
brains of
when,
the operation is.
when the main guy was naked in freezing cold London, I was like, and that was at this time of year, he must have been absolutely frozen to the
Oh
core.
my gosh.
Standing
Yeah,
there,
he didn't look
that
too
was-
frozen.
Shelley.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think that, Josh. Yeah, I didn't clock
Yeah.
that. Oh, see, I've lost a whole month because I haven't been very well all month, so February's just disappeared. But it starred David Norton, who was reportedly cast because John Landis had seen him in the Dr. Pepper commercial. So John Landis obviously loves his Dr. Pepper. But yeah, David Norton was fired from the Dr. Pepper adverts after because of his nude scenes in this film, apparently. So yeah, no more Dr. Pepper.
Should give him a raise.
I know.
Yeah.
And Griffin Dunn, who is apparently stated in 2007 that his biggest fear was his mother, who was ill at the time, not being able to handle seeing the film where his son appeared mutilated. And when she finally saw it, she was deeply disturbed by it because of all of that facial makeup. So yeah. So
And it gets
apparently
worse.
it's
It
John.
starts out looking quite horrific, and then it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, it feels
I
like.
love that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool actually.
Yeah, I love these
And
random movie facts.
and apparently it's John Landis's personal favourite film of his own. Yeah, and apparently he's a man after my own heart, which I didn't realise, because apparently for Griffin Dunn's death scene, he kept saying "more blood," and
Hey.
that made me laugh because I thought, yeah, that sounds like me. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So was this a first time watch for any of you guys, or have you seen it like before, Emma?
Yeah, I have seen it before, and I actually kind of suggested it. So
You did suggest it.
I, I didn't remember a lot of it. Obviously, I remembered all the cool wolf stuff, but all the other stuff. From my memory, and I'm watching it with my husband, and I'm going, "Do you remember all this?" He's like, "I need to remember this many sex scenes." There, and no.
Oh, that's
Like, oh,
great.
okay, because I've blocked them completely from my memory, and all I could remember was the wolf, which I absolutely loved. It's one of the best werewolf stuff ever. So
Yeah.
yeah, so second watch, I was a bit surprised.
Oh, I love that. How about you, Josh? Is it your first time watch, or you've seen it? You've seen it. I know you have.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a couple of times, but you know that there were the two big werewolf films of 1981 were An American Werewolf in London and The Howling.
Yeah.
And I think that you either fell into one camp or the other. It was like, do you love Star Trek or do you love Star Wars? It was like, do you love The Howling or do you love An American Werewolf? And for me, it was The Howling purely because I saw that first. And I think The
Ah.
Howling is more of like a truer horror, like it is gnarlier. The werewolf is scarier looking. And it's more of like a slasher style horror film, whereas this very much is like a monster film with a bit of comedy thrown in as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
I've
my
never
favorite
seen The
ever, but I do
Howling.
really like it.
I haven't either.
Oh, you
I've
will
not
love
seen
it,
The
Shelley.
Howling.
I think
Oh,
I
I'm
have, but
gonna watch
again,
it.
who knows?
This has given me a werewolf kick now, so now I'm going to watch like as many
Yeah.
werewolf films as possible. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. How about you, Dustin? Have you seen it before?
Yes, only one time before, and that was in '97. So what is that?
Oh,
26 years almost now?
you've
Because I
got
saw
such
like
a good memory.
the reason why I know is because I saw an American Werewolf in Paris, the sequel
Yeah.
first. And then I
Oh,
went back
Oh,
and watched this one because then I found out that John Landis had worked on the Thriller music video. And that was the reason why he
yes.
chose, like Michael Jackson wanted him because of those special effects from American Werewolf in London. So, and I
yeah.
thought, oh, I got really
Oh,
interested because of that. But the Paris one's more CGI. So,
oh, is it?
It's
I've not seen that
terrible,
either.
the sequel. Yeah.
Was it a really bad sequel? Should I
Yeah,
skip that
yeah.
one?
Don't bother.
I never saw
Don't
that.
bother.
it's
No.
okay. It's not like anything spectacular story wise or anything. And the CGI is really dated now. It used to be good, but, you know.
Oh dear. So yeah, as I said earlier, it was a first time watch for me. I've never seen this film and I hadn't realised why. I won't go into all of the details, but I did give myself a personal John Landis ban when I was younger, and that's the reason why I've never seen this film, because I refused to watch any of his films for whatever reason. Young Shelley decided to not watch, but yeah, so that is my reasoning for not seeing it. But yeah, I'm glad I've seen it now because I did enjoy it. So yeah, it was just hilarious. I don't know whether it was meant to be that funny, but I was laughing. But yeah, yeah. So that's my reasoning for not having, my excuse for not having seen it before. I needed a good one. So the reason why John Landis kind of chose London as the setting was because apparently London was horror central. So obviously it was the home of Jack the Ripper and Jekyll and
Mm.
Hyde. So I think he wanted like a Victorian Gothic kind of feel, but also show like the 80s, basically 1981 London. So did you think that London made like a good setting for this film, Josh?
It was great. I love seeing London sort of like historically through cinema. Like there's a couple of Hitchcock films that are set in and around London as well, and it's just great to see it back in the day. You know, it's completely different. The trains are different. The tube station looks completely different. I kept trying to figure out where exactly in London they were, because they come out of Jenny Agutter's flat, and they are clearly not near Piccadilly Circus. And then they get into a cab, and within 10 seconds they're in Piccadilly Circus. I was like, where does she actually live, and where does she work? It was fictional.
And I was watching it on the iPad last night, and I paused it at some point to go and get a drink or whatever, and it actually came up with like filming locations, so it must link in somewhere. So I don't know. That was through Prime. I was watching it, so yeah, it was coming up with
That's cool.
So maybe check that out, and then you can see like where it was filmed. But it is interesting seeing like London.
What was it the cabbie said? Didn't the cabbie say something like, "This reminds me of
the Demon on Barber Street"?
Yeah.
The Demon Barber Fleet Street.
Fleet Street, that's it. God knows what I was thinking, but yeah, Fleet Street. Yeah, just make things up. Oh dear. Yeah, so it is interesting to see, like, I'm with you, Josh. I like seeing like different aspects of London at different points in time. How about you, Emma? Do you think it was a good setting for this movie?
Yeah, I did. I obviously, as a Londoner, I always like seeing the home city represented anywhere. And yeah, like Josh, I liked seeing it back in '81, because obviously I was just a baby then, so I didn't really, I had no idea what it looked like. It was cool to see it like that. What actually, where Josh was saying about the time scale in London from driving from one place to the other, I thought the biggest time scale I thought was a bit crazy was that the doctor went all the way up to Yorkshire and then back down in a day. And I think he can do it in a day, but I was like, man, you'd have gone to bed, you'd have been tired. Drive, how did you get out there? Did you train or did you do? So I thought that was kind of the funniest kind of, whoops, I've just been in the area, have you?
Yeah, exactly.
So
like,
and also that she had her sash window was open. Like, nobody leaves their window open in London. Like, no way.
Oh yeah. He was trying that window for a while.
Exactly. So I'm like going, okay, that's not true. That wouldn't happen. You have to put a brick through the window, wouldn't you? That's
clearly made by an American.
As well.
Melina's put, I love the creepy Yorkshire setting and that pub.
I love the pub.
Yeah, the pub.
Did you notice there was a famous actor in that pub?
Rick Mail. Yeah. I was like, is that Rick Mail?
One of the convicts from Alien 3, I've forgotten what the actor's name is, but he was like one of the guys, one of the convicts.
What is that?
Yeah,
he was the guy behind the guy in that movie.
Yeah, he was one of the British guys.
Not player number 4.
Yeah, that pub was great. And that's like one of my biggest fears, like walking into like, so like when you go to the country and you walk into a pub, one of my biggest fears is that the pub just goes silent and looks at you as you walk in. So that's why I always make people go in front of me, just in case.
Strange.
I know.
Oh, that would be something on me. To have something on my face. Like, what?
Oh, I don't know where this fear has come from. Obviously from films, but yeah, that's why I always make people go first. How about you, Dustin? Being American, like seeing London, like in the 80s, do you think it was like a good setting for the film?
I think, it was because not just London, England in general, like just a fish out of water type story, because he's American in a foreign country for him. And so that's kind of isolating in itself. And then you have this going on, which is kind of making you isolate even further. It's like nobody believes me and you panic and whatnot. So if you got that factor in there, unknown area, you don't know where you're at, you're turned around, I don't know, something like that. But I like the beginning, especially like the moors and how creepy that is, and just how, that's also isolating. It's very in the dark. Yeah. So
Definitely. Yeah, it's creepy. Because I think even though it was meant to be set in the north, wasn't it in Wales
Yeah,
that
they
was
had to hide some
filmed?
signs
Oh, really?
behind shrubbery and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked it.
Yeah, so apparently it was in Wales, but I mean, even like, I mean, it really did look like the Yorkshire Moors, like, and it
Yeah.
is really creepy up
creepy
there.
pasta.
Oh no, don't start
Oh
with the
God.
pasta. Oh dear. So apparently the executives of the film hoped that John Landis would cast Dan Aykroyd in the role of David and John Belushi as Jack. I mean, that would have just been a totally different film, like
No.
totally wrong. But
That's
Yeah,
such a studio
yeah,
note.
I know.
I
John
don't think.
Landis
Yeah,
refused. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked, would it? Definitely
no,
not. No.
no.
But yeah, he refused
The Blue
as he
Moon
wanted to
Brothers.
use. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, John Landis refused as he wanted to use new faces. So, what did you think of the casting of David and Jack? Do you think they were good casting and they worked well together, like as a little team? What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, they played off each other very well.
Mm,
One was kind of the more straight laced, and one was the goofy one, and you need those in a pairing. And
yeah.
so I thought that was for making the one that was the more headstrong, like narrow, whatever, not narrow, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The good boy is the one going into panic, and having the sarcastic friend, be the dead one.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. What about you, Josh? What did you think of them? Like, as the friendship between them, I kind of liked. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was great because they have such a
Mm,
narrow window right at the start of the film to really sell that friendship, and they did it really
yeah.
effectively, I think.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I just love that idea of like the dead friend coming back because that you're gonna be the next werewolf thing. I just think that's such a great little
Yeah.
spin on sort of werewolf mythology. It's great.
Yeah. What did you think, Emma? Did you like them as a friendship pair?
I did. I believed their friendship. I really
Yeah.
did believe that they'd been friends for a while, and they'd
Mm,
come out to do their big overseas experience, and go around Europe and check it out. And we'd rather be in Italy because it's pouring with rain in the UK. What are we doing here? And then obviously it all goes wrong. Like, we should have gone to Italy. What?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that
Oh.
he was that the dead friend was so sarcastic, and just some of his
Oh.
lines were hilarious. So yeah,
He was
I
so
like that.
great. Yeah, I loved him. I didn't quite click who he was as an actor. I don't know why until like after, when I was obviously looking up to do some questions for the chat, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's him! And like, he was in a program called This Is Us that I watched recently,
Hmm.
and things like that. And he's amazing actor. And I was actually really sad because I liked their friendship, and when he like got killed off quite early on, I was like, oh no, that's sad. I'm not going to see him again, because obviously I didn't realise that he was going to come back. But yeah, I really liked them as a pair, and I think they had such a good bond. And a lot of his lines, I think Jack's lines were like ad-libbed quite a lot, so I think he caused a bit of
Oh,
like
really?
naughtiness on set. Yes. So obviously the special effects in the film, so we're talking about the 80s kind of special effects. I mean, that werewolf transformation is like phenomenal, like even to this
Chef's
day.
kiss.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I loved that. But apparently it did win an Academy Award for Best Makeup, which was the category that was actually created in 1981. And the final look of the werewolf was based on the makeup creators. I think he pronounced it a Kesh hound. I'm not sure whether I'm saying that right. But called Bosco. So he kind of based the look on his dog. So what did you think of the special effects? Do you think they still hold up to this day, Emma?
I do. I think
Yeah.
they're really good, actually. I'm a big fan of special effects that's not CGI anyway, or not totally CGI. I don't know how they did it with elongating his face, like the transformation. and his hands and his feet and then his back, and
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. I'm still looking at it thinking I'm not sure how that's done. So for me, I thought it was really good, and I quite liked the aesthetic of the wolf. I thought the wolf was not really scary, but scary enough,
Yeah.
I think it holds up. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What about you, Josh? What do you think?
I thought he was quite a cute wolf. He was sort of like
Oh,
cuddly, really like a fluffy werewolf with a cute
oh,
little
you want one
sort
as
of
a pet
squashed face. Yeah.
with a cute little squash face. Don't worry about all the dead bodies. Yeah, just as long as he's got a cute
Yeah.
squash face.
It was so cute. Yeah. Yeah, that my
dear.
main memory
What?
of the film was that shot going down into the underground with the guy on the escalator and the
Oh,
werewolf coming
Yeah.
out from the tunnel. That was the main thing I remembered because it's such an effective, spooky shot. And I'm still not
mm,
entirely sure how they did it. Like, was it a guy in a suit? But it didn't really look like a guy in a suit. The movement was really effective.
mm,
Yeah, great monster.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What about you, Dustin? What did you think?
Oh yeah, it's like still like the industry standard for practical effects. Everybody always points to like this movie and other ones around this time, and
Yeah.
it's still kind of it's hard to watch too. The transformation scene especially, and
Yeah.
it's very much like, oh my God, it's gut wrenching,
Yeah.
and I think that like what you were saying, it just looks so real that you just can't like get over it. And that's what people are trying to go back to now. But now that's the expensive thing to do is the
Yeah.
practical effects. And they're trying to cut corners. I'm like, can't do that sometimes. You got to put in the time.
Yeah.
But you want it to look good. But I did notice when you were talking about, Josh, when you were talking about the werewolf's face and everything, I think that the werewolf in Cursed, the Christina Ricci movie, I think that maybe that was modeled after the same werewolf because it looks really similar
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
in the
Yeah,
face at least. So
Okay.
yeah,
See,
anyway,
definitely.
I haven't seen that either. See, I must have missed out on my werewolfiness.
that's a Kevin Williamson. I
Ah.
think is it also Wes Craven as well? Did he do that one as
It's
well?
not.
Yeah,
It's not very
it's
good.
not.
Oh, I don't
It
think
got
so.
Oh, it's not very
It's
good.
just it's not like awesome or anything, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
the humor,
just
for the humor of it.
fun. Oh, I'm going to add that to my list. Like, I don't know why I've missed out on all these werewolf films. Like, I haven't lived my life, clearly. Missed
Where
out.
have you been?
I know, where have I? Yeah, Josh. You can do the intros next month, like, definitely. I missed out there, didn't I? Oh, dear. Yeah, so apparently the makeup guy, Rick Baker, so he was disappointed by the amount of time that they spent shooting the face changing shot for the transformation and the amount of time that it was on the screen because he wanted it to be longer. But I think it was just about the right length, really. It got across what it needed to do. And it was phenomenal. I couldn't take my my eyes off the screen. And apparently,
Didn't John Landis say that he
the special
regretted
effects.
having it quite so long?
I'm not sure. I think I know that John Landis said. I've put here, John Landis only required one take lasting 7 seconds, but Baker felt he had wasted his time until seeing the film, and the audience applauded during the one 7-second shot. So the audience were like, "Yeah!" So I'm not sure whether John Landis.
It's not quantity, it's quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. But apparently as well, a little fact that made me laugh was all the blood, apparently they created using cranberry jam. And like, I just thought that's so like English. Do you know what I mean? Like it just goes with the theme of the film being set
What
in
do I
London.
have in the cupboard?
Oh, some cranberry jam. And that just made me chuckle. It did make me laugh. So do you think, I know, Dustin, you just mentioned that about how you could feel like it felt painful, like you could feel David's pain. Do you think they did well at capturing the pain of transformation?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, oh my life, poor David.
Yeah, especially he starts off, he gets that migraine that just boom, it hits him, and he's just like, and and I was like, oh, I know that. Just like something just hits you all of a sudden. It's just, I've been through pain, like not like that. Obviously, I didn't, my bones didn't contort and whatnot. But
Ow!
no, but it's yeah, and he did a great job at least expressing that, and they did a great job of the effects, making it sound like bones were snapping and tendons were moving, and it was good.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Josh? Do you think they got the pain across? Like, it felt painful,
Yes.
to watch.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
great. Sitting there wincing, like peeking through your fingers.
Yeah.
You really felt, and you liked him so much by that point as well. You really wanted him to be okay, and obviously, he's a werewolf, but by the time he's transforming, you really like this guy. So to see him in pain is quite gut-wrenching.
Yeah. How about you, Emma? Did you feel David's pain?
Oh man, David's a wimp. That's nothing on childbirth.
Do you know what? I thought to myself when I wrote that, I thought Emma's going to say that. That's so weird.
Childbirth with no pain relief?
Is that what happens during childbirth?
That's why they don't let you in there.
Yeah, all men aren't allowed in the room.
Yeah. You don't want to see this. Could you imagine? Oh.
Gosh.
Beware the moon.
Right,
yeah.
Beware the moon.
Imagine though, someone was like giving birth and then someone says, at least you're not transforming into a werewolf, love.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
I am now. Rip the
It
throat
could
out.
be worse.
Oh dear. So I just noticed Melina mentioned that the sound effects when his bones were morphing, and a lot of the sound effects, I think John Landis wanted like a weird, eerie kind of ambience for like night shots and things. So the wolf howl was actually made up of about 9 different sounds, so including a wolf, a lion, a panther, and even a locomotive.
Interesting.
And then some of the other sounds you hear, I think the first attack out on the moors, I think it was like a pig farm that he'd recorded from a distance. And it was just something to kind of make the audience go, what the hell is that sound? So clearly, that's what we all thought. We were like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So do you think the sound effects were effective in that way? Like, Josh, what do you think?
Yeah. It was a good howl. It was a good howl. Yeah, and I like that they didn't
a good howl.
the same one over and over again. They did sort of tweak it every time there was a new howl.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I never noticed that actually. How about you, Emma? Do you think the sound effects, could they have made them better, or do you think they were like?
I think they were good. I think they fitted. If sound effects are bad, then they stick right out for me, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
So this seemed to fit with everything that was going on. So I think they did a really good job there. I did like the growling and obviously, the bitey bits as well. I thought that
bitey bits.
The bitey bits. I thought that was all really good. So and the songs, I mean, how many Moon songs can you cram into one movie? They were good choices as well, especially when he was transforming and you had the kind of a nice song playing while this horrible thing's happening to him. So I thought they did well with that kind of comparing those things together, pairing that up.
Yeah,
something nice with something horrible.
It was a good soundtrack, actually, wasn't it? How about you, Dustin? What did you think? Sound effects effective? Did they make you cringe? Like go?
Oh yeah, they were pretty effective. But I was going to say, like when you were talking about the howl, like when he was changing and he was screaming, as he was changing, and then it later goes back and you hear him howling in the distance. It sounds like him. I think like screaming in pain mixed in with all those sounds. I could distinctly hear him crying out in that. Yeah. I was like, oh, that kind of, I didn't notice that before, it was like added an extra little layer to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cameron's put a locomotive. Did the werewolf go choo choo? He did like a choo choo. He was like,
are you turning into Josh?
Oh dear.
Brilliant.
Oh, so did you have a favourite scene? So what was your favourite scene in this movie? Emma?
Well, obviously the transformation scene is going to top everything.
Yeah.
But I quite liked when they were outside the theatre and he's in wolf form and he just chomps and then a head bounces.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The head.
And then the head goes,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the guy who was like, all like, no, that's not happening. We're not gonna
Yeah,
listen
no.
to this guy.
I love
Yeah,
that. That was my favourite, I think.
What you get?
Oh, that's such a good scene. It's like absolute chaos outside that theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, all the car crashes,
Lord.
bang, 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 head
The
bouncing.
bus, everything.
Brilliant.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's great. How about you, Dustin? Did you have a favourite scene?
I kept writing down new scenes throughout the whole movie that I was loving. I was like the nightmare that felt like The Purge when they're like holding him, watching him kill his family.
Yeah.
Oh,
then-
yeah, with those little weird, like, things that... What was
Yeah.
that? What was it?
I don't know. It was like, what the hell?
Weird.
And then of course, the shower scene. But I noticed one thing: she
Sexy
can't kiss.
times.
That woman cannot kiss. She was like,
No.
and then he's all like, and she's like,
She's British. She's reserved.
are you not into this? Like, yeah, move your mouth a little. Make it believable. It's called acting. Anyway.
Oh dear, yeah. Those are
I
great
agree.
scenes. Great scenes. How about you, Josh? Did you have a favourite scene? What was that little laugh?
Just recover from. No, I love.
It was seeing me and Dustin. It was seing me and Dustin going
Yeah.
on the screen. Yeah, Dustin didn't see it when I did it.
Yeah.
What? Oh dear.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh. What
Talk
was
about
your
scary.
favourite scene? I know.
For me, it was the same as Emma. It was outside the theatre where it all just pandemonium broke out, and it's just the novelty of it actually being shot on location in Piccadilly Circus, and just done really effectively, done really well. Such a great sort of way to lead into the tragic ending. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, because that's going to be no mean feat. Like closing down Piccadilly Circus, like to film that. Even like at that time of night, whatever time of night it was, like even at night time, it's got to be like something else to shut all that down.
But was it as busy back then? Because I mean, I know in the States things shut down after a certain time, and so maybe after it wouldn't have been as busy.
Yeah, I want to hazard a guess
been
it
busy.
was because it's
Like
always been like the main point. But but it must have been.
I've never seen the tube
Nightmare.
that empty. Tottenham Court Road.
I was wondering that. I was like, why is this so deserted? Like,
Yeah.
That's like our idea of heaven when we get on the tube.
Oh,
that
yeah, I know. It's like,
that, no one on there.
And no one
Put a
goes
wolf
to,
suit on next
who's
time.
making that noise. It's like,
And just run through in a wolf suit, Shelley. Everyone scatter.
Oh god, I think that was actually my favourite scene was the tube scene because one, I was thinking the same as Josh, like I've never seen the tube this empty ever, and two, like the whole scene was just brilliant with the man running down and then he falls on the escalator and I thought, I've been there, I fell on one of those escalators and it hurts.
And it's so steep.
Yeah, but it was. I just thought that whole scene was just so good, and I do find like any like horror, kind set in the tube. Piccadilly's like Times Square. Times Square never shuts down. But I do find like the tube kind of like scary. Like so, any horror settings in the tube, I do find kind of like more scary than I probably should because
like the rats.
Is kind of creepy, isn't it? Really?
yeah.
But I did read that theatre scene, the cinema scene, when it was all like chaos and that. I think to start with, they didn't tell many of the people what was going on, so some of those reactions are actually quite real. So when they're saying there's a monster in the cinema or whatever, and a lot of them are like, "What?" So
Let's run
those
towards it.
reactions- yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be
Oh,
like, "Yeah,
brilliant.
see ya." Oh,
Tell me how it
dear.
is. Let me know. Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Speaking of the cinema, like the porn that he was watching.
That was
I
brilliant.
love the guy bursts in. He was like, "What did we talk about this before?" And the other guy goes, "I'm sorry. I know." He goes, "Not you, her. I don't know who you are." "Oh, okay. Bye." What was that?
Oh gosh,
No
it was
one knows.
hilarious. That scene made me laugh so much. And then, like, obviously, when David tries to like turn into a werewolf, he's sitting at the back of this porn cinema. He's like, "Oh, oh!" It's like no one's gonna like realise
No,
what
no,
you are
you need to
doing.
go.
Yeah.
That whole scene, I actually think that cinema scene was actually genius. Like the porn film, the way that it was all done, and then him seeing all the ghosts and that. I just think it was a brilliant scene for what it was.
But
Nothing
£2
says
ain't
London
easy
like
to
a
get in
porn
though.
thing,
That
is
is
it?
really expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
Two?
it £2?
Did you see it was
No thanks, love.
$2.60 for like the cheap seats and $2.80 for the expensive seats? Like, oh, just throwing a 20p at you, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The splash zone.
Oh dear. Yeah, the splash zone. Oh dear. Yeah, it was a really good scene. I did like that. So obviously we're like laughing at certain parts, but would you say that American Werewolf is like more of a horror than a comedy, or vice versa? Or do you think it's just become like more comedy over time because we're just desensitized to stuff that way? I don't know. What do you think, Emma?
I think it's a comedy. I think it
Yeah.
is. I wouldn't say there was anything remotely scary about it. I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I was laughing more than anything else. And all
Yeah.
the one-liners, I just couldn't stop. And what was with those Nazi? What was with those
I
Nazi
know.
creatures?
I don't know.
It's just
I
so
don't know what it
There's
was. Like, it was so random.
there's a really interesting discussion about the film's exploration of like Jewish experience and how it's actually a horror film about being an American Jewish man in sort of like in England and how displaced you feel. And that sort of
Oh,
like inherited generational trauma. So he's a Jewish man, which we obviously find out through that line that is the
Yeah.
nurse.
oh yeah, that
And
nurse, that pervy
and
nurse.
so yeah, I know it's like
I loved her though.
so yeah. I mean, she's just a very strange person, wasn't she?
Yes.
um, but yeah. So I think the creatures in the dream, they're actually wearing, I think, like Nazi uniforms. So he's having sort of like a
Yeah.
nightmare about that, I guess. But yeah, there's like a weird subtext going on about Jewish experience, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
noticed that.
I think Edgar Wright always says that scene with the Nazi things that come through the windows like terrified him as a child as well. Like he always he brings that up a lot in like interviews, like as like worst like horror scenes, not worst horror scenes, like scary horror scenes. I've seen him talk about it a few times. So even though like I knew about it, it was still a bit like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Oh
Well, because
dear.
also like
So
John Landis wrote it in 1969, so that was really not that long after the end of the Second World
No.
War. You know, it was a couple of decades later, so it was still
yeah,
very fresh.
yeah,
I think. So
yeah.
yeah.
Ah. So what do you think, Josh? Do you think it was because apparently John Landis does get insulted when people say it's a comedy because he's like, no, it's a horror. So
Sorry, John. I'm sorry.
sorry, John. So what do you think, Josh? Do you think it's more of a comedy or a horror, or has it just become comedy
Yeah,
over
I think it's a
time?
horror. It's a horror film with comedic elements. I think the characters bring the humor, but I think the story itself is a horror story. You know, this poor guy, he ends up dead at the end. It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it is a horror film. Apart from, it's gory and it's got a monster in it, etc., etc. It's about someone. When we first meet the two guys, they're in the back of a truck full of sheep. Like, these are innocents abroad, essentially. And they just get completely destroyed. It's horrific. So I think that's why it is a horror film.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Dustin? What do you think?
I agree with Josh in that it's basically a gory comedy with like psychological horror in it. There's a couple of jumpy parts if you want to look at it that way. Not so much anymore, but back then, like him waking up in the hospital, that face he makes and little things like that. They're kind of, oh, that's disturbing. It's more disturbing in that sense. That's where you're kind of like, oh, and then the gore thrown in. That's where I don't think all horror is necessarily scary. It just can be disturbing or makes you think in a way, in a certain way. I don't think it necessarily has to be scary. It's preferred, obviously. That's what most people think of horror, but
yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I just found it hilarious from like start to finish, because I think like maybe because I never saw it before and then I'm seeing it now, and like I'd obviously seen little bits of it, like clips. I'd definitely seen the werewolf transformation before, and that was scary. Like, I found that scary. But other than that, yeah, most of it I just had such a good time watching it. So to me, it was like more comedy than horror.
I think, Shelley, I thought it was horror when I was younger, when I watched it. So I watched it, I was quite young when I watched it. And now I think it's funny. So maybe that's right in what you said about, do you think it might have transformed?
Like over time, it's just, But I mean, it's aged well, but I just think maybe like there's certain things that back in 1981 people may not have found as funny as we found, like watching it over the weekend, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was more horror driven when I was younger. I guess it hadn't been exposed as much. And then I also thought it was really boring when I was younger. Like, it just felt like it moved really slowly. Yeah. And I didn't remember half the stuff that happened. And now I'm watching it. Oh, that makes sense. And I guess just my young mind was not ready for it at the time, I guess.
Yeah. Same. It did move quite slow, because I think, like, despite it being about a man who becomes a werewolf, like, he doesn't actually become a werewolf until about 59 minutes into the film, and I think the film's only like an hour and a half or something like that. So he didn't get much screen time. So the werewolf. We got to see David naked quite a lot though, didn't we? So yay, there's a plus. There's always a plus. So do you think, like, thinking about what we've just said, would you have liked more goriness in the film, or do you think it was enough gore? I know I always ask this, like, because I always want more blood, don't I? But what do you think, Josh? Would you have liked more gore, more ripping of flesh, more bitey? What do you think, Josh? Joshy?
I don't think you needed more blood, Shelley. I think there was plenty in there.
There's always room for more blood. Oh dear. What do you think? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Josh. I'm over talking you.
There's a delay on my end. My new internet is ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that the homeless guys, they were meant to have more of a graphic death scene, but I kind of felt like it was quite effective not to actually see them die, because when they just turn up dead in the cinema, you're like,
that scene is funny. That scene with the homeless man, and doesn't he say, like, I can't remember what he says, but that line is like funny. Oh, sorry.
I just thought it was funny. The bridge was like conveniently placed in the background. And, like, by the way, in case you forgot where we were.
yeah, that's true. Oh dear. How about you, Emma? Would you have liked more gore? You like me? More blood, more gore.
Yeah, I am with you on that, Shelley. I think what Josh says is right. You didn't need to see You don't need to see a lot of it, but I would have liked more of the wolf. I would have liked really a lot more running around London. Like I would have liked some different landmarks thrown in. Yeah,
Sightseeing
the
tour.
tour. The wolf. Yeah, the tour. Like I'm a wolf and I'm touring London. You know, I'm an American werewolf. I'm going to go around and go to the.
So if ever Emma turns into a werewolf, she's going on a sightseeing tour around London before she goes on her killing spree.
There's so many good things to see. So I thought we could have some more comedy incorporating the landmarks in London, you know. Like, you know, and a few more Cockneys thrown in there. There was nowhere near enough Cockneys. Everyone was very posh.
Yeah. Yes, it wasn't a very realistic view. Oh dear. How about you, Dustin? Would you have liked more gore, more blood?
No, I think it was good enough, because I think if you put too much in there, it would have felt like a snuff film or something. You know, it needed to go with the story. Like I was saying, it's more psychological. The less you see sometimes, the more it does to you, you know? And, but I think it would have benefited from like more chase scenes or something.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe not just the underground, but like, you know, even just through the streets of London, something, you know, like in an area that's not as, you know, as inhabited, I guess.
Yeah, because I think I could have done without like the love story. Like I know there was a reason for it, but
it was dreadful.
And in the sequel, there's a child. So for the sequel, so
there's a child
in the sequel, yes.
Oh, okay.
Are they giving birth to a werewolf?
She does. She gives birth to the girl. What's her name?
Right,
Julie Delpy plays her in the sequel. Julie Delpy plays the child.
And is the child the werewolf? Is she a werewolf?
she's one of them. Yes, there's several werewolves in the sequel. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm intrigued now.
She's Parisian, so it's American Werewolf in Paris. So
you sold me at werewolf baby.
Well, it's not. No, it's not a baby. She's a grown woman by the time the movie comes out.
Oh, well, no.
She's just the child of him.
Disappointed now.
There are werewolf babies in Wolfpack, that show. So if you want werewolf babies, there you go.
Oh dear, yeah. But I could have done without that love story. Like I know there was a purpose, and it was so to give it a bit of oomph, I guess. But yeah, no.
Well, there was no chemistry between them, was there, Shelley?
Yeah, and they didn't really pay it off because, like, he says, "Oh, I think that only someone who loves me can kill me," and then it's just the cops that kill him. So
yeah,
it wasn't really.
Yes, Josh.
Yeah,
that would have been
wasn't
far more
she
dramatic
there?
if she
Like,
was like, "I have to."
Yeah, like I've got to kill you. Like, I've got to sacrifice you. I love you, David. Yeah, that
I was getting ready for her to get right up in its face, you know, like, don't get any closer. Step back.
Yeah. Away from the werewolf.
Oh dear. So there was a lot of like good lines in the film, like one-liners and things. Did you have a favourite line that kind of stood out to you, Josh?
Which was it was the bit that when he was trying to get arrested by the police officer, and he just yells, "Shakespeare's French."
Oh,
the most insulting thing to come up with.
And stuff about the Queen and the now King, and yeah. I think that's why, didn't they? They had to put at the end credits like a thing about congratulations to Prince Charles and Princess Diana's wedding. There's like an apology, I think, or something. Did you see it at the end, on the end credits? Right at the end, yeah. There's like a little, "We would like to congratulate His Highness, blah, 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 in their upcoming wedding," or something like that. So it was obviously to make up for it. But yeah,
the little feelings got
Prince
hurt.
Charles definitely watched it and waited right to the end of the credits to see that they had done that.
See, this was the original. Wait until the end of the credits. Yeah, this got in there before Marvel, you say. What about you, Dustin? Did you have a favourite line?
I had a couple, but like the first one I had written, we'd already mentioned. It was like, "I think he's a Jew. How do you know?" "I've had a look."
I've had a look.
And like, and she's like, "That's actually standard now." And you're like, okay. And then the next one was Jack, dead Jack. He says, "You ever talk to a corpse? It's boring."
That's my favourite too. I love that one.
Oh, that's such a great line. What about you, Emma? Did you have another one, or was that your
I
favourite?
did. One that I really, really laughed at was the doctor, and he was trying to get the secretary rings through, and she's trying to say, "Can you take a call?" And he doesn't want to take the call because he's got obviously all this going on. And he says, "Tell them I've passed away. Tell them I'm dead." And I was like, secretary going, I'm sorry, he's passed away. He's dead.
I
He
I
says
wrote
he's
that
dead.
one down. Yeah, he says he's dead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry.
I wrote that one down as well because I thought, oh, this will be a good excuse to use at work tomorrow.
She's
Dead,
dead.
I
Sorry.
can't help it. I'm
Oh,
not busy out,
God.
so that killed me.
But Kev, my husband, has actually used that line before. So there used to be someone who phoned our old work quite a lot. It was just like a sales call and that, and they phoned and phoned and phoned, and they didn't stop. And they wouldn't see asking for our boss, the owner of the business. And he turned around once and he said, "Oh, I'm ever so sorry, he's passed away, so you can't phone anymore." And the guy on the other end felt so awful. Like, he goes, "I'm so sorry," and we never heard of him again ever. So it does work.
Go, Kev.
Got
All
to
right.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had someone do that to me, Shelley. I had someone when I was a debt collector. I phoned someone up and I said, "Oh, you know, can I speak to whoever it was?" And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, they're dead." And then the next week I phoned them again and I said, "Can I speak to them? I just wanted to see." And they said, "Oh, they've gone down the shops." And I said, "That's impressive." And their current state
Oh my
dead written across my screen.
Oh, I love that.
Undead.
Calling them
Dead.
out. I love
Shocking
it. Oh dear. I think one of my favourite lines, I wrote that one down, you said, Emma, but my other one was, "I would not be threatened by a walking meatloaf." And then later on, while David's transforming, he goes, "I didn't mean to call you a meatloaf, Jack." That made me laugh. So amongst that horror when he's transforming into the werewolf, you've got this one-liner that, if you'd picked up on the line earlier, that was actually really funny.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And the other one I wrote down was when they're walking across the moor. I don't really know why this made me laugh. It just tickled me. But Jack goes, "There aren't any coyotes in England." And David says, "The Hound of the Baskervilles." And then I think David goes on about Heathcliff. And Jack goes, "Heathcliff didn't howl." And he goes, "No, but he was on the moors." I don't know what it was. It just really tickled me. And I was like, oh dear, whole new other perspective of Wuthering Heights right there. So obviously the film has become quite a cult classic over the years. So what do you think has made the film a cult classic, Josh?
Ooh.
Oh, Josh's circle's going round. Oh, okay. Let's go, Emma. Oh, is Josh back? Are you back, Josh? Is he back?
I don't know what's going on. My internet.
He's still got a circle on his face too.
Oh dear. I'll go, Emma. Emma, what do you think? Why do you think it's become a cult classic?
I think honestly, because of the great transformation scene, that's iconic. So that's one which is going to make it a cult classic. And because it's so tongue in cheek, I think it's so random in so many ways that how could it not be? You know, it is very hilarious, as you say. So I think that the transformation scene coupled with the comedy just makes it an instant classic, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. What do you think, Dustin? Why do you think it's become such a cult classic?
Yeah, it's all the special effects for sure, and just how it's got icon status with that, and and everybody, it's one of the staples of it's a simple werewolf story, really, and we lost Josh. Oh well.
Oh, Josh.
He'll come back. Maybe he's reconfiguring his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'll send him an invite.
Yeah, but so that's just because it was simple, but it was done pretty well for a simple story. If you do it, most really good stories in general are simple. They're just simple, but you just execute them very well, And so I think that's what it really stands out for.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm always like really fascinated about why things become like cult classics, and I've never got a good answer for it because Josh is back. Yay,
Yay!
Joshy!
Suffolk life.
And there's the
See?
circle. Oh, there it is.
I had to crank the wheel.
Oh, bless you. I was just saying, like, I've never got a good answer as to why things are cult classics because it fascinates me. Like, my brain can't comprehend how things become a cult classic, if that makes sense. Like, what is the magic, formula that makes them that way? But what do you think, Josh? Do you think why has it become a cult classic over time? Have you got any better answers than me?
Yeah.
Basically.
I think the special effects, the transformation scene is probably the biggest reason because it was so pioneering, it was so effective and so believable. And then it won the Oscar. It created a whole category at the Oscars. So I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
it's always going to have that legacy of we were so good that they had to create a new category for us at the Academy Awards. So there's that.
Yeah.
And I also think that like 1981 was the year of the werewolf film with this and The Howling, and then nobody has done any better since. I don't think that anyone has actually improved on the werewolf film. So whenever anyone says what's a good werewolf film, it's these two. There isn't anything better.
Do you think that's Oh, sorry, Emma, go on.
I was just going to say Teen Wolf was good in a different way.
Yeah.
In a flat out comedy way. Yeah.
That's like coming of age pains rather than like horror pains.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to
Sorry,
say
Shelley.
something. No, it's gone out of my head. It will come back to me in a minute. I know what I was going to say. So do you think that's because the rise in CGI, that it just wouldn't, it works better as a puppetry kind of CGI effect, a puppetry effect rather than a CGI effect. So maybe CGI has ruined it. So that's why we haven't got any good werewolf stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
I think Dog Soldiers did have.
Oh, Dog Soldiers is great,
and that was really cool. But otherwise,
I've missed out on all these like wolfy films because I've just not seen that either.
Yeah, that Dog Soldiers is good, Shelley.
Oh, okay. There's one from my list.
It's a lot darker, I think.
Quite dark. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. So apparently in 2016, it was revealed that Max Landis, so John Landis's son, was apparently going to write and direct a remake of the film. So how do we feel about a remake? Like, considering what we've just said, how do we feel about a remake, Josh?
I mean, it is kind of inevitable when you've got a title like that that's really memorable and has this great sort of has that cult status. So it's going to happen eventually. I don't. I mean, I don't know. It's just inevitable. I don't really have any strong feelings either way. Because why fight it? It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. What do you think, Dustin? Would you welcome a remake, or don't mess with the original?
I don't think you should mess with the original. I don't mind another sequel to like go forward if you can do it well. You know what I mean? Because that way you leave that one intact, but you still use like they could go back to London again and just have the same title like they do with all these other continued stories that are reboots, really. Or they could do like go to Venice or something, American Werewolf in Venice, and then it goes for some reason, they could do something like that. I think they should just move forward instead of trying to rehash the same story. Just
Yeah. What do you think, Emma? Should it be American Werewolf doing a sightseeing tour?
It absolutely should. I personally, I know I hold things sacred, and I think to myself, that's something that I watched in my younger years, and I don't want to see it ruined and destroyed. But then I think to myself, if someone can do it well, yes, do it. If you're going to put effort into it, you're not just going to, as the lads have said, rehash. If you're going to take the story, do something new with it. And you can't improve on that transformations thing, but do that the same, but then improve on everything else, the things we've talked about that were maybe lacking, like the chemistry between the two. If you could have some chemistry between the two characters, that would be great. And then, and do some sightseeing of London, that would be cool.
If we cared a little more, that would be great.
Watch that. So yeah, I would, and I would, and I think changing the fever dreams just slightly to make them a bit more modern. What would he be? What would he be scared of now? I don't know. COVID zombies. I don't know, but do something to change it up a little bit, make it more relevant.
A queer spin could be fun.
Oh
queer spin would be great. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, no, that would be good. I'd be on board with that. But other than that,
Queer
I
wolf.
think.
Yeah, I was going to say an American werewolf.
Yeah, I'd be totally on board with that. Yeah, but other than that, no, just don't mess with like a classic. It's like,
they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
But there's just certain things that they should just leave
Maybe if we stop
alone.
talking about it, it won't happen.
Yeah. Let's stop.
Just
No.
Oh dear. Yes. So overall then, what do we think? Are we like, American Werewolf? Like for me as a first time watch, I loved it and I will watch it again. So I thought it was just crazy great. So how about you guys? Was it like a what do we think? Yeah.
I would go like this. Just because it was more like this the first time, so it got me a little more in this time.
So the really bad tastic will make you go like this.
How about that?
No, definitely. I'm glad that you suggested to watch it because I had such a good time watching it. It was great, brilliant. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for like suggesting it and discussing it. So do check out Josh's book, The Shadow Glass, and upcoming Burn the Negative, which is available for pre-order. Exciting. So excited for that. So do check out. And then check out Emma. Emma's got some short stories in this twisted book. Which are really scary, Emma. I'm terrified. Not sleeping.
Don't mess with Emma.
I know. And do check out Dustin's fabulous The Rewatch Recap. Yay, I said it right this time. It's a tongue twister for me. I don't know why I can never say it.
All those R's, yeah.
I know. But yeah, do check out Dustin Can Read, your other fab podcast. You're so busy, Dustin. So busy. Yeah.
Oh, check out Dustin on TikTok as well. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah, Dustin's TikToks. They're brilliant. I love it.
Thank you.
We love you, Dustin. Thank you for being our special guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for people joining in. Thanks, Melina.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you guys next month.
See you next month.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.